Where we are already feeling that pinch, yeah, it's the grocery store. In the last year, many items in the produce aisle have already gone up. And the latest food item that could cost you more, strawberries. Jen Sullivan explains why.
Strawberries could soon get a lot more expensive, leaving shoppers seeing red when it comes to the price. And it has to do with possible tariffs.
An independent agency came in and they said that the imports from Mexico are hurting U.S. growers.
The Trump administration is now looking into whether Mexican growers are setting unfairly low prices and whether they should implement tariffs. Here's why that could drive up the cost. 98% of strawberries sold in the U.S. last year came from Mexico, with shipments worth more than $1 billion. Shoppers saw tomato prices skyrocket earlier this year because of tariffs. Tomato prices were 12.8% higher last month than a year ago, according to the latest Consumer Price Index report. But that wasn't the only contributing factor. Freezing temperatures in parts of Florida during the first 2 months of this year also played a role because much of the tomato crop was destroyed. Items in the produce aisle are already very vulnerable to price fluctuations because of extreme weather. Throw in tariffs, and it can make prices even worse.
You're dealing with supply and demand issues every single day in the fresh food business.
Stu Leonard is the owner of Stu Leonard's grocery stores in the New York tri-state area. He says for businesses, it's really hard to offset costs when items like tomatoes or strawberries go way up.
It's really challenging. And you know what? Here's basically what every single retailer across the country would agree with me on. If you raise prices, guess what happens to sale? They go down.
The good news is that tomato prices have already come down a lot. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Well, as for strawberries, a preliminary ruling by the U.S. Department of Commerce found Mexico is selling them below the normal value, but a final decision for what's to come is still months away.